What could trip up the EV revolution?
What could trip it up is it needs lithium, nickel, cobalt. You can manufacture the cars, but if you can't get the raw material components, you could be in trouble.
This will be battery metals, lithium, nickel, cobalt.
Prices of lithium battery materials are rising fast. Headlines talk of shortages, reliance on China, and the need for localized sources of secure, sustainable supply. Will auto and battery manufacturers vertically integrate to mine and process their battery materials as Ford did in the 1930s? RK Equity focuses exclusively on critical minerals projects in support of EV and battery producers in North America and Europe.
In this series, we will be looking into several development companies who seek to address the risk and opportunity identified by Byron Wien and Chamath Palihapitiya. These videos are based on several independent research notes which you can access on rkequity.com and is for information purposes only and not investment advice. This is Equity Overview with Rodney Hooper.
Welcome to Rockstock Channel and our ongoing equity overview series focusing on individual raw materials companies that we think should benefit from the rising demand from electric vehicles, energy storage, and other clean energy technologies. In today's episode, Rodney Hooper will present an overview of Nouveau Monde Graphite, a company Rodney and I and RK Equity have been advisors to and have equity interest in since 2020. We should note that we have not been paid to prepare this video, and all Rodney's comments and mine and research are our own independent opinions. Rodney and I are not financial advisors nor broker-dealers. This video is for information purposes only and should not be considered investment or financial advice. Please do your own independent research and read the disclaimer at the end of this video or on RK Equity's website. Before Rodney makes his graphite industry and Nouveau Monde comments, I'll make a few of my own. Throughout the last 13 years, I've been researching, investing, and advising companies in the battery material space. I was often approached by graphite developers, but did not choose to represent any until late 2020, when I was approached by Tier 1 private equity fund Pallinghurst. I had come to know the principles of Pallinghurst through work I had done on Nemaska Lithium, which Pallinghurst took control of and is now partnering with Tier 1 lithium producer Livent to develop. Pallinghurst is focused on North American battery material developers to address the urgent need for ex-China supply produced in the most sustainable manner possible. Nouveau Monde is their graphite play, and they recently added nickel to their portfolio through an investment in October in Talon Metals in Minnesota, USA. Talon announced a supply agreement with Tesla earlier this week. We interviewed Pallinghurst co-CEO Arne Fransden, who is also Nouveau Monde's chairman, twice on Rockstock Channel. We have also covered graphite in two other interviews with experts Matt Fernley, a geologist, financial analyst, and hedge fund investor, as well as Jordan Giesecke, the producer of the wildly insightful and popular battery-focused YouTube channel, The Limiting Factor. I created last year a graphite equities scoreboard similar to the one I keep for lithium. The graphite scoreboard is largely filled with developers, but not producers, as almost all graphite production is from Chinese companies or a few private companies outside of China. Graphite developers, on balance, did well in 2021, with the average across the 23 stocks I cover up 150%, which is about half as much as the near 300% rise of the average lithium equity developer. Most notable on the scoreboard is that every company is a natural graphite developer except one, Novonix, which is a synthetic graphite developer. But it was Novonix that had the most stellar rise last year, growing to a market cap of $3.2 billion US. To put this value into perspective, it is larger than the next 10 graphite developers combined. Novonix is nearly 9 times the value of Nouveau Monde, while both companies have aspirations of bringing a similar amount of graphite anode material to the battery and auto OEMs outside China in the next few years. It is great to see the market appreciation for Novonix, which we think could pave the way for greater appreciation of other graphite developers, in a similar way that the broader lithium developer community rose in tandem last year. I have found graphite and the battery anode narrative to be even more nuanced than lithium. Investor knowledge for graphite in many ways is where lithium knowledge was a few years ago. Rodney and I plan to devote more time to graphite, including some additional analysis into Novonix. So please stay tuned to future graphite-focused videos later this year.
Graphite has been making the news recently, with Benchmark Minerals and other market commentators suggesting a shortage from 2022 onwards. Syrah Resources signed a binding offtake agreement with Tesla in December for 8,000 tons a year of active anode material. Recently, Tesla requested a waiver for US tariffs on graphite imported from China, citing there is no other place they can source the material but China. Following exceptional EV sales in 2021, somewhere between, we think, 6.3 and 6.5 million units, RK Equity is forecasting around 8.1 million in sales in 2022. Against this backdrop, we anticipate shortages and bottlenecks across the EV battery supply chain, including graphite. According to BMO, despite research efforts for new materials, graphite anodes will go from around 96% market share currently to 90% in 2030. As with lithium and cathodes, graphite for the anode is largely an irreplaceable battery element for the foreseeable future. The graphite in battery anode can be either artificial or natural graphite, and typically a combination of both. Artificial or synthetic graphite is made from a fossil fuel derivative, either petroleum, needle coke, or coal coke. Natural graphite anodes are made from newly mined flake graphite mines. Synthetic graphite is generally higher priced than natural graphite and requires high heat to process, which is energy intensive. According to Benchmark and BMO, the trend in the blend is for natural graphite's market share to climb from 40% currently to 50% plus by 2030. The importance of low CO2 emission battery materials is growing, and in graphite that will mean likely shift towards natural rather than energy and chemical intensive synthetic graphite. We view the USA as the fastest growing battery cell market globally, given the low starting base, and that the stated target is 50% EV penetration by 2030. Combining the US with Canada's EV and ESS demand, we forecast a total of around 800 gigawatt hours of North American cell demand in 2030. This will require approximately 1 million tons of battery-grade anode material. Globally, BMI estimates approximately 6 million tons of demand by 2030. Until cathode material is produced in North America, other battery metal producers, lithium, nickel, and cobalt, must send their product to precursor cathode plants in Asia. Graphite prices have been flat for the past few years, but have started to tick up in recent quarters, but not to the extent of what we've seen in lithium. The battery industry for graphite is similar in size to the battery industry for lithium, but battery as a percentage of the overall graphite market, around 30 to 40%, is smaller than that for lithium at around 80%. Graphite electrodes and other markets are a bigger share at present than for batteries, and there's been some latent capacity in those industries which has slowed the demand price push for graphite. But as with lithium, the fast accelerated demand against the dearth of investment in new supply for battery anode material in particular should result in similar shortages and supply insecurity from tier 1 auto and battery makers, especially outside of China. Nouveau Monde is developing its fully integrated and 100% owned Quebec-based high-purity Matawin graphite mine and downstream Bécancour anode material plant. Nouveau Monde trades on the New York Stock Exchange, ticker NMG, and the Toronto Venture Exchange, ticker symbol NOU. Its market cap is about $410 million, and that ranks at number 4 on the RK Equity Graphite Developer Scoreboard as at the end of December. To make battery anode material requires a number of processing steps, purifying, shaping, and coating. Thus far, Nouveau has proven its purification and shaping processes, and in the first half of 2022, the company is aiming to prove the coating step and have it qualified with tier 1 battery customers. Nouveau Monde has commissioned a 2,000 ton a year plant, commercial qualification plant that is fully funded and is sending samples for qualification with prospective customers. Once proven, Nouveau's plan is to scale up to 42,000 tons per annum of coated spherical high purity graphite in Canada. An anode-ready product that would mean Nouveau could directly supply battery cell plants on the continent and not have to send the material to Asia for further processing, as is the case today for most anode production. As the company will utilize low GHG hydropower supplied by Quebec Hydro and a full electric mining fleet supplied by Caterpillar, the company's ESG credentials and carbon footprint are standout in the graphite sector. Nouveau is planning on completing a definitive feasibility study on the commercial anode plant in Bécancour in 2022. Matawin was discovered in 2015 by Eric de Saulniers and team. Eric is the founder and CEO of Nouveau. The management team was recently expanded by the addition of Bernard Perron as COO. Nouveau currently has around $69 million on the balance sheet US at the end of September 2021. Insiders Pallinghurst and Invest Quebec Plus Management own around 37%. The Matawin mine is located in Saint-Michel-des-Saints, 120 kilometers north of Montreal, Quebec. Plan is to produce 100,000 tons of high purity flake per annum, which has the scope to expand to 200,000 tons per annum post 2025. The mine will be powered by low cost, around 4 cents Canadian per kilowatt hour of low GHG emission hydropower. Anode material from NMG's Bécancour plant can be shipped directly to US, Canadian battery cell plants. This reality lowers transport distances, carbon emissions and costs, improves inventory management for the downstream customer, and removes tariff and export tax risks. What we see as absolutely critical is the production of the fully integrated anode material. So that's the coated spherical high purity graphite in the 2,000 ton commercial plant that's scheduled for the first half of 2022. And related to that is the negotiation of what we expect to be great terms of a long-term cornerstone supply agreement with future downstream customers. In September 2021, I wrote a research note on Nouveau Monde that included a fair value estimate, suggesting a fair value range of between $14 and $25 a share US, factoring in an expected 200 million EBITDA from the battery anode plant and 65 million EBITDA from the Matawin mine in 2025, and assumed a 750 million capex that's financed 50-50 debt and equity.